So NIO is one of the stocks where it always gives you a headache, because the moment you believe that you're out of the danger zone, at least for the stock price, then something bad happens, or the general market has a bad time and the stock goes down. And you can see that we are still stuck in this long downtrend over the long time since it topped out in late 21. But if you look closer in, let's say, the past month, we can see that, or let's say over 3 months, so it kind of dropped off in the middle of the $6 per share, and it kind of nosedive to below $4. But now it kind of rebounded, and you can actually see that, in my opinion, most likely the market values these numbers here. You can see that on NIO, on the 4 row, you can see that they delivered like 4,400 cars in China last week, and then 3,600 before that, almost 5,000 the last week of April, the full last week of April, and then basically 3,000 a week before that. So it's kind of starting to, again, go to places where, if they keep the pace that they have done over the past 4 full weeks, then this is this is good. Like, this is definitely, compare this number to Tesla. You can see basically half of Tesla's deliveries, 1/3 of Tesla's deliveries, 1/3 again, and then half again. So, and considering that NIO is a much smaller market cap company than Tesla, it's obviously good. Now, obviously, for Tesla, they don't only deliver in China. We know that they have huge deliveries outside China, in Europe and in North America. Same thing cannot be said about NIO, although NIO also delivers some cars in Europe. I think to this day, totally, they've delivered 2,500 cars for Europe, basically for the past 2-3 years. The point is that you cannot compare these numbers, although they are, apples to apples. In China, we know that this is a much smaller percentage of Tesla's total sale, and basically 98%, 95% of NIO sales. But that being said, I like this, and you can see if you visualize it on the graph here. So on the green, it's monthly deliveries for NIO throughout 2023. And the blue is 2024, and you'll see, actually, usually January and February is a bit difficult to judge, because some years the Chinese New Year is in late January and some years in early February. So yeah, it's usually I would take, like, add these two together and then divide by 2 and take the average. So don't look for nuances in the numbers between January and February. But you can see roughly, in 2023, they delivered 8,000 plus 12,000, so that's 20,000. And this year, closer to, let's say, 18,000 for the first 2 months. Then, so last year was actually better in terms of the first 2 months. But then this year, we're a bit better in March, and we're clearly better in April. And the way that May has begun, we can see if you go back to this graph again. So you'll see actually that they're like at 4,400 for the last week, and then 3,600 for the 2 latest days of April and the 5 days of May, the 5 first days. And it's let's say if you remove the share of the 2 days, production of 2 days from 3,600, let's say that we go back to 2,500, 2,600, add that to 4,400, we're above 7,000 cars. And that's for the first 12 days. Let's say 6,500 cars for the first 12 days of May month of 2024. That's basically the same amount of NIO delivered last year in the entire month. And this is basically not even halfway through the month. So yeah, I believe that at this rate, we're definitely gonna surpass April, and we're probably gonna get to 16,000 cars delivered in May, maybe if you're lucky 18,000. So what does this deliveries look like if you look at for year to date? So we can see here that NIO has delivered to this day 51,720 cars, give or take. And if you look, that 51,000 number includes the first 2 weeks of May. If you look at the fully exact reported number on NIO's webpage, on this news release that they release at the beginning of each new month, where they basically provide us with the previous month's delivery, you can see that when I add it all together, we get something like 45,000, 46,000 cars. And this is obviously ahead of last year. Last year they delivered, let's see quickly, 20,000 plus 30,000, and then 42,000, I would say. So we're just ahead of last year, but now we're starting, if you add the May number and June, last year they had 16,000 together. This year we'll probably match those 2 months just by May. And in June we get another like 15,000 hopefully. So yeah, I think, we are definitely going places now again. So now we are back on track again. But the problem with NIO, if you follow NIO for, for a while, you know that if you go back to 2023, you see the dip here. It was due to that they kind of were tweaking their lineups. So a lot of their car lineups were due to for updates. So they only sold like a few of their models. Let's say if they have 6 or 7 different cars they sell, they were only managed to sell 2 or 3 at this time last year because they were updating for the new model year. That would be the 2023 model year. And so with NIO, you're never out of the danger. As of right now, I think this looks good. If they continue to do, if the blue bars come in at 16,000 and then 16,000 again, and once we go into the second half of the year, we know that NIO is gonna introduce their new car as well, the Onvo model. So that's the second brand, the same way that Volkswagen has, Porsche, they have their own Volkswagen, they have Skoda, they have multiple different brands. NIO is gonna do the same. So NIO's new brand is Onvo, and it's gonna be the cheaper one. So since it's a cheaper car, you would say that, that's probably gonna help NIO to have much higher volume, at least very soon. Like, if you go 6 months from now, they'll probably have much higher volumes. But if you remove Onvo and only look at the traditional NIO main premium lineup, right now they delivered 50,000, including the 2 first week of May. And if I assume another, let's say 10,000 cars in the rest of the May, so we're up to 60,000 for May. Now, if we're conservative and say 15,000 for the rest of the year on average, so that's how many months left? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 months. 7 times 15, that's 70,000 plus 35, that's 105,000 plus 60,000, that's 165,000 cars. I believe that's a bit conservative, because I do believe that traditionally we see a higher delivery in the second half. So if we now, let's say, assume 20,000 average, 7 times 20, that's 140,000 plus the 50,000 they already delivered, that's 190,000. Now, so going back to the deliveries that they had last year, so we can see here that NIO delivered last year 160,000 cars. Here you can see on the blue one for this 2023, you can see that they deliver 160,000 cars. So if my assumption holds, and they manage to deliver another 10,000 in May, so we end up with 15 here, and then average 20,000 each month by end of the year. We're gonna be at 190,000, and you add to that the second brand, the cheaper brand that's gonna start deliveries late this year. They're gonna actually release the car tomorrow, so they're gonna launch it tomorrow, but the production and deliveries will happen late in the year, probably October or somewhere thereabouts. But if you assume 10,000 to 15,000 cars for October, November, and December each for the new brand, that's another, let's say 30,000 to 50,000 cars. And we should be able to get 190,000 of traditional lineup, and anywhere between 30 to 50,000 for the new second brand, less premium brand, Onvo. That's gonna give us 235,000 cars, and that's gonna affect obviously the revenue of the company, because you see here that last quarter you can see here that the deliveries, the best delivery is the Q3 of last year, and the second one is the Q4 of last year. And on each of these, they had a revenue of 2.6 and 2.4 billion. So let's say 2.5 billion when they deliver roughly 50,000 cars. Now, I mentioned again that, if they manage to deliver 20,000 cars on average, which is, they've already managed to deliver 20,000 cars last year. So in one of the months, so basically 2 of the months. So I definitely think it's possible that they could even, for all I know, they could deliver 23,000 cars, maybe 25,000 cars in December. So they could easily have 70,000 deliveries in Q4 this year. Now 70,000 deliveries is basically 40 to 50% higher vehicle deliveries than these two previous best quarters. And you know that NIO's revenue usually is very correlated as any other car company with the deliveries. So you take the 50% assumption of increase compared to last year, you add 50% to this, 2.6 billion, that's what, another 1.3 billion. So you're basically going to 4 billion of revenue in one quarter for NIO. And good thing, if you followed my channel, you know that the other sales, so this is, you know, the merchandise, their energy business and all the other stuff that is not directly the car, you know, maybe the services in the car, added together, you know, if you buy a software in the car or some, you know, NIO has these NIO houses where they sell some of the, you know, brandings like the clothes, the caps and all this kind of, you know, other side stuff that is not the car. It's like more a brand, because NIO is a brand. It's not like Tesla or the others. It's actually more like a lifestyle. So in addition to selling cars, so this yellow one doesn't depend necessarily with the, you know, with the vehicle deliveries directly, although indirectly obviously it does. But yeah, so you add to that, my assumption is that there is huge possibilities that NIO will have 4 to 5 billion revenue Q4 of this year. And the margins is gonna improve as well. You know, we have looked at this before. Look at the lithium carbonate price, and actually if you go to this chart, it's better. You can see that over the past 5 years the price has been like very elevated, starting from late 2021, but now we are down here. You know, like the price is really low for the lithium that goes into the batteries. So this will help every single electric car manufacturer. So this will definitely help with the margins. So yeah, I do believe that, you know, if this we've been like in this situation for so many years now, especially, you know, since 2022 when the new ET7s launched. The rumors, or like actually not the rumors, the company, the CFO used to say, you know, we're gonna deliver 20,000 cars every single month, and they never achieved that. And that's 2022. And then in 2023 they said that, you know, they're gonna still manage 20,000 cars basically every month, and you see they never achieved that. They were kind of close in the second half, but not in the entire year. You need to take everything the CFO said with a grain of salt, but assuming that they will deliver those numbers that we mentioned, this is looking really interesting. The company has a market capitalization of 11-12 billion. If they come in at, you know, as I said before, 5 billion revenue one single quarter, that's annualized rate of 20 billion revenue for NIO. You know, this is not a fluke. Like, how many companies on the planet has a revenue of 20 billion? That's not a fluke. I'm telling you, if they manage to get those numbers, they are here to stay, and they have a good cash balance. And we know that the let's say the consumer has been weak over the past 2 or 3 years globally, because every single country basically, give or take, has had high inflation. But now you start to see like the central banks of all the countries start to stop raising the interest rates, and some of them already start to cut the interest rate. So yeah, I do believe, like, you know, this time, you know, maybe this is the 4th or 5th time we've been at this stage. You know, you have good hopes of the company performing and the stock market kind of rebounding. But I think if they manage to execute 5 billion of revenue, 4.5 billion revenue for Q4, I could see definitely this stock going back at least to these levels, you know, let's say 10 to 15 US dollar. I mean, that's nothing. Like, you know, the stock price is at 5.6 now. If you take that times 3, let's say 15-16 US dollar per share, that's still like, yeah, that's like times 3 here as well, 12 billion times 3, so that's like 36 billion of market cap. So at 15 or 16 US dollar per share, the company will have a market capitalization of 35 billion US dollar, and they have a run rate of assumably 20 billion of revenue per quarter ending this year. Sorry, per year, 20 billion per year and 4-5 billion per quarter from starting the latest quarter this year. And that's like a price to sales ratio of less than 2. So yeah, I think I I hopefully see this going well, but we should be cautious. Like you definitely need to follow Neo's webpage every single month at the beginning of the next month and see the delivery numbers, and follow people on Twitter that report the insurance registration numbers like CNEV on Twitter. It's a webpage that they basically report all these numbers. So yeah, or follow me, just I will give you an update. But I think although things didn't look very good in again in January, February, and March this year, now things start to turn around. So yeah, thank you for watching and see you in the next one.